translate?
Yeah.
Okay, after you.
After, I guess, yeah. After me. Do you want to start or?
Oiga, ¿y ustedes fueron de primer país en la NBSAP? Yeah. You can get the fancy chair. Okay, no pressure. No pressure. Okay, yeah. But no, if you want to move back, you can too. Oiga, ¿y cómo cuentan las emisiones del canal? ¿Se cuentan como emisiones extranjeras o...? No cuentan. Eso sí se atribuye y que realmente tienen una población controlada. 4 millones. A mí me tocó ahí la pandemia cuando me di cuenta de que este territorio no está tan habitado como en México. Sobresaturados. La Ciudad de México venga 2 millones en la ciudad. En el país. Sí. Y ahí es donde también se excluye que ahora entra más cada especies y como les estoy viendo a los pueblos una, me acuerdo cuando yo estuve ahí que estaban haciendo unos proyectos a ver si los localizaban hacia
Oh, 1 meter. Shift here. If you can shift a little bit. Yeah. Then you'll. Shall we? Okay. Good morning. Buenos dias. Thank you for coming today on a Saturday morning. It's a very nice day. This is going to be a roundtable, and this is going to be very interactive. So I'm really glad that we have a very good group of people today. Before we start, I will start from passing around the microphone so that we can all introduce ourselves and know who is in the room. Claudia, do you want to? Yeah.
Buenos días a todos y todas, gracias por acompañarnos. Estamos esperando a una compañera que parece ser va a traer algunos bocadillos, pero mientras tanto nos vamos a presentar, vamos a pasar el micrófono y van a decir si pueden su nombre y de qué organización y de qué país vienen.
Okay, so I'll start from you then.
Okay, good afternoon. It hear me? Okay. I'm Monirak Meng from the Ministry Environment, work in Cambodia. Yeah? So I've been work in the conservation quite long enough. So that for this moment, and I'm happy to share what we're going to do with the NBSAP as a request by the organizers. Thank you.
Mi compañero viene del Ministerio de Medio Ambiente en Camboya y trabaja en conservación y nos va a presentar un poco de la experiencia sobre el desarrollo del NBSAP.
Good morning, everyone. I am Felicia Adams-Kelman. I am from Guyana, the Environmental Protection Agency. We are the focal point for the Convention on Biological Diversity, so I'm very happy to be here this morning to share with you our experience with using AI to help us align our targets to the GBF.
Gracias. Buenos días a todos.
Do you all ¿Todos entienden la presentación en inglés? ¿Es de Guyana? ¿Ok?
Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Darío Luque. Soy técnico del Departamento de Biodiversidad del Ministerio de Ambiente de Panamá. Estoy agradecido por la invitación. Vamos a compartir un poquito de la experiencia de Panamá utilizando las herramientas de inteligencia artificial para la revisión de las metas nacionales de biodiversidad y su alineamiento con el marco global de biodiversidad.
Yeah, I can translate. Good morning, everyone. My name is Darío Luque, and I'm from Panama. We're also going to be sharing how we used the artificial intelligence to align our national biodiversity targets to the GBF. And I am Georgina de Moya. I'm part of the Early Action Project with Leah, and I'm the global focal point for technical support in Latin America. Nice meeting you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sharifa Razak. I'm also from Guyana and the Environmental Protection Agency there, which, as you heard, is a national focal point for the CDB and its protocols. And I'm happy to be here to listen and learn about the different experiences.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leah Phillips. I am happy to see you all here today. I know it was hard to get up on a Saturday morning, especially on a day where there's not plenary, so really glad to see you all here, and thank you. I think you'll hear plenty about me. Okay, yo puedo decirlo en español, pero mi español es más o menos. Pero yo soy Lea, yo trabajo con PNUD y estoy aquí para aprender más de ustedes sobre sus procesos usando inteligencia artificial, y gracias por venir.
Hi, my name is Amerindía Jaramillo. I'm from UNDP office from Chile, and we are working on the design of economic instruments for conservation biology in Chile. And also Chile is now in the process of updating the NBSAP and also the NDCs. So we are thinking to align both main goals.
Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa Sepúlveda. I work with Amerindia in the design of economic instruments for biodiversity and ecosystem services. And I am from Environmental Ministry of Chile.
Hola, mucho gusto. Soy Cristina Supples con UNDP y estoy trabajando en el liderazgo de este trabajo y también con los enabling activities con Georgina y Leah. Muchas gracias para tu tiempo hoy. My name is Cristina Supples. I work for UNDP. It's a little hard for me to speak in Spanish, but I can understand. Thank you for coming today. I'm the project manager for the GEF enabling activities and working very hard on this concept with all of you. And we have some cookies that are in the corner. That's why I was late. So when we move to the group work, there's some fresh cookies for everybody.
Very good morning, everyone. My name is Naviret I'm the National Coordinator of the GEF Small Grant Program in Cambodia, working with the UNDP as well. My objective to join this session because just want to see the process of NBSAP kind of updating, and also the NDC and how we could align our small grant project with those policy and framework. Thank you.
Hola, buenos días a todos y a todas. Muchas gracias por la invitación. Mi nombre es Anthony Vega, soy de Panamá, del Ministerio de Ambiente, al igual que mi compañero Darío, soy del Departamento de Biodiversidad. Y bueno, muy emocionado de estar aquí compartiendo con cada uno de ustedes.
My name is Anthony Vega, and he's from the Ministry of Environment of Panama, and he comes along with his colleague Darío. He works in the Biodiversity Department, and he's excited to share experiences from Panama with you.
Hi everybody, I'm Allison Lamb. I'm from Canada and I'm a doctoral student at University of Toronto, and the focus of my research is the intersection of environmental justice and social justice, and I'm particularly interested in the policy development side.
Good morning everyone. I'm Joseph Toure from Sierra Leone, the CBD focal point.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lovetta. I'm the Nagoya focal point for Sierra Leone. We have no lessons to share. We are just here to learn. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone we missed?
Great, thank you so much. And my name is Reina Otsuka. I am the digital lead for nature and climate at UNDP. Very nice to meet you all, and I will be moderating today's session, so very excited to see everybody. Okay, so just a few opening remarks, I guess, since Leah kindly produced it. But today what we want to do is we want to have a conversation with everybody. We will have very good lessons learned, shared from 3 speakers. And we will also hear a little bit from Claudia Ortiz, who is our from the climate team at UNDP, on how NDCs and NBSAPs could be potentially aligned using this kind of tool. And then finally, we will have a small group work so that we can hear from you how this tool can be made better. So Sierra Leone, please do not be shy. We would love to hear from you how you think this can be made better, how you think this can be used in your country context. So we will have a time for everybody to speak toward the end. So, and as you probably all know this, right, Leah? Everybody in the room probably knows about this. But we worked with over 50 countries to create this AI-based tool. And many of you already contributed this, so thank you so much for that process. It is using something called the GPT 3.5. It is a machine learning or AI algorithm or tool that is readily available. However, the new thing to it is that it is trained or modeled based on the inputs from countries and technical people. So that is what is very new and important about this tool, that it is specialized for the assessment of the alignments between the GBF and your NBSAP or national goals. Claudia, do you want to maybe put in a bit of translation? It was a big one. Yeah.
Reina mencionaba que quizás la mayoría ya conoce esta herramienta porque más de 50 países nos ayudaron a desarrollar esta metodología y que hoy esperamos que puedan compartir con nosotros sus ideas también sobre cómo quieren usarla en sus países y otras posibles aplicaciones.
Great, thank you, Georgina. So I think we can start from playing the video now, just so we see what it is.
Ahora les vamos a presentar un pequeño video para que vean el concepto.
And they are working to get it
Our
out.
planet's rich ecosystems sustain biodiversity and provide the foundation for human health and well-being. The Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework aims to put us on a pathway towards harmony with nature. But to achieve the framework, its targets need to be reflected on the national level, including through national biodiversity strategies and action plans, also known as NBSAPs.
At UNDP, we're harnessing the power of artificial intelligence to support governments to elevate their national biodiversity commitments.
Using OpenAI's GPT 3.5 model, we work with parties to co-design an analysis between national targets of their choosing and the goals and targets of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Now developed with over 50 countries, the resulting NBSAP target similarity assessments provide customized analysis and recommendations that are then validated by national experts.
En Paraguay, la evaluación de similitud entre nuestras metas nacionales y la meta global ha sido fundamental. Gracias a ella hemos podido actualizar nuestras metas de manera eficiente e innovadora, identificando rápidamente las áreas de mejora y proveniendo de un diálogo constructivo entre los distintos actores. Esto nos ha permitido asegurar una alineación efectiva entre los objetivos del Marco Mundial de la Biodiversidad.
The UNDP's AI-driven similarity assessment program has helped us establish a clear baseline between the NBSAP and the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. We have integrated this into our work for Component 1 of the EES project as a foundation for reviewing plans, policies, and programs not covered by the EES.
During the exercise of National Biodiversity Target Alignments with Kunming-Montreal GBF, Cambodia deployed a mixture of approaches. Among those approaches, we found that the UNDP AI in-depth analysis was very useful. We started with making a table of similarity between National Biodiversity Targets and the KMGBF targets. For example, the KMGBF Target 7 is aligned with Cambodia NBSAP Target 12 with low alignment, and Target 16 with high alignment. With this initial input from AI, our team started to verify and produce the report accordingly, so it saved us a lot of time in this process.
Proper alignment of national targets with the new Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework was greatly improved by using artificial intelligence to assess target similarity. The review of the codes between NBSAP target and the GBF allowed us to identify the needs for updating the national targets. Moreover, using artificial intelligence or similarity assessments significantly reduced the time needed to process large volumes of data, enabling us to quickly detect alignment and match levels between the national deviations and the GBF targets. As a result, Morocco was able to send its new biodiversity targets to the CBD Secretariat on August 1st, better matching its national priorities with the GBF.
It's exciting to see a glimpse of the future, where AI can enable a rich and inclusive stakeholder discussion because it's so rapid and because it's so comprehensive, while of course we need to safeguard a safe and inclusive use of the technology.
AI has a continuing opportunity to advance policymaking for nature on a timeline that reflects the needs of society and governments. As we advance towards the 16th Conference of the Parties, the Convention on Biological Diversity, we see many nations submitting national commitments for nature that align with the Global Biodiversity Framework. However, the work is not over. At the parties' request, we are now co-developing additional AI applications to ensure that biodiversity is mainstreamed across national policies, including commitments to the Paris Climate Agreement.
The urgency to mitigate humanity's impact on biodiversity necessitates innovative strategies. Join us in exploring the transformative potential of human-centered AI for biodiversity decision-making.
Great, thank you so much. So now let's hear more from the countries. We have Cambodia, Guyana, and Panama to share their experiences now. I'll start from Mr. Monirak Meng, who actually just told me his name means the people of the forest and conservation. You were born to do this job. So Monirak, over to you.
It's my pleasure to share the meaning of my name. Okay, I think I look at the schedule, it seems I have more time. Compared to the previous, we have very limited and crowded, but this time is more round. So I take this opportunity. I have only few slides, about 10 slides. So that means I could start a little bit and elaborate how we use AI to benefit everyone. Just take attention to you that the first time I think AI only our scientific use, but behind the most of people, you know, the online people, they are use much now. I think more than us. Even they using AI to make any content. It's really, yeah. So this is we are not lead them; they lead us some part. Okay. Before starting, I would like to introduce a little bit. Of course, Cambodia we joined the CBD quite early, but so far we have only second version of NBSAP. So the first one we have NBSAP in 2002. So the second is 2016. So you see more than 10 years. And now we update to the third version is more than compare is almost 10 years. So this is the gap or the version from version to version quite old. So this is another challenge that we have faced in terms of how to get update quickly. But thankfully that to the AI, maybe we can using this to update more regular. So this is that summary, and come to the experience. Do we use all AI to develop? No, just only part. So because we have different policy strategy. For example, we got information from UNDP using AI. We set aside and then we using our high national policy that compile for all institution. We call a sustainable development goal. And then we compare between our national SDG and then the target. If aligned, we go further. If not, we drop and then go straight to AI or to other. This is that we have exercised so far. So that the preliminary before to consultation. And now go to AI. We are surprised a little bit because after recovery the COVID, and then we got information from UNDP said now we have committed to do NBSAP revise, and then you see we still in struggle moving around. So we are a little bit how can we get an expert, get everything, and then later we feel okay, appreciate and feel that we feel comfort to do this one. So to start this, we using GBF target as a main because we have existing our national target. And then based on the GBF target, we break into, because each target we try to break into 3 segments. One we call action, the second outcome, the third is quantifier. So I can give you example one, target number 1. Please read it. Ensure that all areas are under participatory, integrated, and biodiversity exclusive spatial planning and all effective management process addressing land and sea use change. This is we call action. And then after that, to bring the loss of area of high biodiversity important, including ecosystem of high ecological integrity close to 0 by 2030. This we call is outcome in within the target. And then follow that one, while respecting the right of indigenous people and local community. Is more quantifier. So each target group we break into that one. And then come to that one, we again how similarity with the existing or our national. So we can see the match between that component. If see almost the same, we have three three level of alignment. One we call very high similarity. So for example, we compare one that we take from the GBF target and Cambodia, the existing. We take the GBF, the Cambodia first. We the existing. We said by 20, the majority of area under agriculture, animal production, aquaculture, and forests are managed sustainably. So this is our nationality. And then I read the GBF target number 5, number 10. They said the areas under agriculture, aquaculture, fishery, and forestry are managed sustainably, almost 100%. You see, this is we treat as a high, very high similarity. And then if we a little bit one, and then you can see is less, medium, and less. However, we after this one, we set aside, and then we come to see to find a way how can bring up the low or medium similarity or alignment to the national target that we this. So and then I share you the next one is the next step how we move it. So we first we draft the develop national target, and then we have to review or again go to back any policy or strategy that coherent with the proposed national target, and then we start to do actual exercise update the NBSAP. So and then come to a short one to share. We know what is work well during this exercise. We think that the good one because Cambodia government committed as a party, we commit to ensure the healthy of ecosystem and environment, sustain ecosystem service and utilization. That one, and then importantly, that the Ministry of Environment has assigned as a lead in development of the NBSAP for Cambodia and have to submit on time. More or less, like I mentioned earlier, that without support from GF or UNDP, we can do, but long period to update one time to this one. So that one we appreciate and saying to GF and UNEP. However, we have one. We think that with the limit of budget, we miss one component very important that as a lesson learned also. We miss a component 2, monitoring. Without monitoring component, we difficult to know how we are, where we are. We are too much aligned, we are slow, or we are right track or something like that. So we miss that one component 2. And of course, we appreciate that we have experts around our institution around that one. And then another big appreciate also to the NGO develop partner. After we have launched inception workshop, many partner interest to that exercise. So this is that we learn what is going well. The challenge is also that we challenge so far is we have been informed that we have to submit in a short time, and we know that the challenge for us is update, validate data, because working alone is we work fast, but this we as a coordinate and we commit ourselves. So from partner is difficult. We work even through the coordination, focal point, line, but sometimes is coordination is still. So this is one is time. The second is the government try not focus only in environment conservation. We focus in other aspects, social as a whole, and other economic, because we have very big challenge whenever we propose budget to get sustain, to get more scale up. This is a challenge. That's why we have a big challenge to include inclusive other sector. So another that we have a challenge is more or less we need international skill or expertise to support, and then of course, like I said, we still need in financial to to increase participation share, because with the limit budget we to make a very small. This is one. And another challenge that we try to find how the target that we agree, we endorse, is it effective implemented by stakeholder or by other agency or not. So that one we challenge that we can think. And then we have one point for improvement as a lesson learned in development project, and now thank you to UNDP that have Cambodia over 30 years, I think. So now we come to the level that how can we all the project the government is sustain and ownership. Without sustain and ownership, we difficult to one is work without support. The second is replicate it and scale up. So this is that we want to improve that one, working with all the project relate to the project execution and implementation. The improvement is we have to find out the mainstreaming and effectiveness. We compare to the climate change, similar to this one. The climate change, they have very advanced compared to the CBD, because they are mainstreaming quite advanced, really quite advanced. I don't know because something. The last one, of course, we need technical and capacity building to support this exercise. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I took away it was very important for you that you could identify an actual gap in a component. That was very interesting. And also it's interesting you're already seeing improvement, that you can do this assessment against the climate target as well, because many things are happening in the climate side. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. I will go now to Ms. Felicia Adams-Kelman, Head of Multilateral Environmental Agreements, Policy and Planning Department at the Environmental Protection Agency of Guyana. Felicia, over to you.
Thank you. I know it's a mouthful. It's a mouthful for me as well. Good morning again. So I want to take this opportunity to thank UNDP first and the global team for inviting Guyana to share our experiences with using the AI tool. We were one of the guinea pigs, one of the 50 countries that would have been offered the opportunity to utilize this tool to help us align our NBSAP. And the offer was really a timely one, given that, as with our regions, we had challenges with the project startup. And so we saw this as a very strategic opportunity to really progress our work towards aligning the targets. So we gladly accepted to be the guinea pigs, and we would have received 2 reports from UNDP on this, using this tool, a summary and a more detailed report. And so what this allowed us to do is have a clear picture of where we were in terms of alignment. The report that was provided to us compared our 2020 NBSAP with the GBF, and it really identified for us whether we were high, low, or medium in alignment with our current targets versus the NBSAP. So we took that information really and we focused on the low and the medium targets. So we said, are we really not in alignment with this? Like, we had to verify, because with all technology, you have to do ground truthing at some point. So that was the first step for the EPA after reviewing the report. We looked at the alignment and we focused on the low and the medium ones. And from that, we were able to have internal discussions on possible policies and plans that could address the gaps that these reports were showing, because with AI, you know that it is using sources that are online. And for a country like Guyana, we do a lot of work, but unfortunately, it may not be published online. So the AI tool would not be able to utilize their algorithms and their different codes to really do any sort of comparison. So we were able to identify the plans, the policies, the studies that would have been able to contribute more to alignment and have those reviewed. And interestingly enough, it did show that we were more in alignment than we originally thought. So I think that's something great for countries to make a start with, because it gives you that baseline and that foundation to work with. After we would have done that, of course, whole of government, whole of society, it's not just the CBD focal point or the EPA that has to prepare the targets and review the NBSAP. We had to do some consultations. Given that we were already a bit behind with the early action support project, the approach we took was to have a core group of persons that have mandates for biodiversity conservation. And then we also did a wider stakeholder consultation, but not extensively wide because of the timeline, of course. And the AI tool, based on the review, allowed us to clearly identify the stakeholders that we needed to engage. So those were the ones that showed we had low or medium priority. So we wanted to know, what do you have going on within your agencies that could possibly address the gaps that these reports had? We were able to really craft targeted questions for our discussions with these stakeholders to see how we can develop the new targets for Guyana. So I think the report in that regard was very useful, and it really allowed us to make significant progress in setting the new targets for Guyana. A point to note when using AI, we learned as well, is that you need to take into consideration country context when using artificial technology, because for a country like Guyana, we have a seasonal occurrence in our North Rupununi wetlands where there is flooding to replenish the population. And there are several reports on this, but maybe when the AI pulls and does the comparison, they may not know the context of it, and it could reflect negatively. So all of that is something that needs to be vetted as countries go through their report and ensure that it's in alignment with their priorities. Lessons learned, or my take from AI, because I'm very happy that I see UNDP is going to go forward with it, and I think it's going to be a very good opportunity for Guyana to monitor our implementation of the targets, is to also take into consideration traditional knowledge information, and then as well the I don't want to say policies, but the protocols of sharing information and ensuring that benefits are accrued fair and equitably from the information shared, because a lot of data is published that has traditional knowledge and shared, and AI uses it, but then the countries don't benefit. So I think it's something to consider going forward when utilizing the AI tool. Also, I see potential for analysis of large data sets with the tool. I know for the headline indicators that we're currently negotiating here, it will require you to report using large data sets, and Guyana is very well known for high levels of biodiversity. So we will have large data sets that would need to be analyzed for us to adequately report. So I see a lot of benefits coming from that. Also, in terms of, I guess, to synergize with the climate change convention, it's able to hopefully go further in terms of policy analysis. Well, I would want to see it go further in policy analysis in terms of maybe if you put forward policy scenarios, they can give you an idea of whether the scenario can work or not. So I think those are the experiences I want to share at this point. Thank you.
Much. Thank you, Felicia. If you were a guinea pig, you were a very strategic guinea pig. So thank you so much. Great. So now let's go to Mr. Dario Luquet. Sorry. And I think Georgina will be providing some interpretation because he will be speaking in Spanish. Mr. Dario Luque is a biologist and a biodiversity technician in the Ministry of Environment of Panama. Dario, over to you.
Thank you. Voy a hablar en español. Creo que tenemos algunas similaridades con lo que ha mencionado Camboya, con lo que mencionó Guyana, y también en el video cuando habló el representante de Paraguay acerca de las ventajas y de las oportunidades de utilizar la herramienta de inteligencia artificial.
I think there are a lot of similarities between what Cambodia, Guyana have said, but also what we heard in the video.
Y voy a empezar similar a como mencionó Cambodia, un poquito desde nuestra primera Estrategia Nacional de Biodiversidad, es como del año 2000-2001, y luego tuvimos una actualización en el 2000, tardía, en el 2018, que tiene un mandato de un horizonte de tiempo hasta el 2050.
Similarly to Cambodia, our first NBSAP was in 2001. The second one was in 2018 with a vision to 2050.
Entonces, la primera estrategia de biodiversidad fue acompañada, de acuerdo con un mandato que tenía la Convención de Biodiversidad, con un informe nacional de biodiversidad, donde se hablaba de toda la situación de la biodiversidad y de las amenazas a la biodiversidad. Y desde ese tiempo, las 4, 5 o 6 amenazas principales a la biodiversidad no han cambiado, ¿sí? Ya están identificadas y se han mantenido a través del tiempo.
For our first national report, we were able to identify the 6 major threats to biodiversity. This was in 2001. In 2001, and unfortunately since then they haven't changed much.
Y similar a Camboya, ahora estamos en el proceso de la revisión y actualización de la estrategia de biodiversidad para alinearla con el nuevo marco mundial de biodiversidad, y esta va a ser la tercera versión de la Estrategia Nacional de Biodiversidad.
We are now working on our third version of the NBSAP, similarly to Cambodia.
Y al iniciar este proceso, tuvimos como una discusión relativamente fuerte, y hasta hace poco hemos llegado a un mejor entendimiento con la Dirección de Política Ambiental dentro del Ministerio de Ambiente, porque la Estrategia Nacional de Biodiversidad está aprobada por una resolución ministerial y dice que su periodo de vigencia es hasta el año 2050, de manera que está vigente, y la Dirección de Política Ambiental nos dice que sí puede ser revisada, pero que no puede ser actualizada porque todavía está vigente oficialmente.
The process in Panama has been very arduous, and we have been in long conversations with the policy department at the Ministry of Environment because our second NBSAP is still current until 2050. So they tell us that we can only revise, but we cannot update.
Entonces ahí lo que hacemos es como un juego de palabras o algo así, y eso lo hemos hasta hace poco llegado a un mejor entendimiento, un mejor acuerdo. Primero porque nosotros estamos cumpliendo con un mandato, con una decisión de la Convención de Biodiversidad, porque para eso es que se hacen las estrategias de biodiversidad. Esa estrategia anterior se hizo así, con ese periodo de tiempo, porque iba a ser un alineamiento entre varios planes nacionales, unos que eran de seguridad hídrica, otro que era forestal, y todos eran hasta el año 2050. Entonces se quería que todas estas estrategias o planes nacionales estuvieran alineados y todos fueran hasta el año 2050.
We are trying to figure out the play of words that will allow us to revise the NBSAP. The reason why our second NBSAP is current until 2050 is because the country wanted to align the NBSAP to other national policies that were also that also had a timeline until 2050, como la del agua. The forestry and water policies are until 2050 as well.
Entonces, la idea que estamos vendiendo es de que no se va a hacer nueva, se va a actualizar y gran parte de la estrategia anterior se va a mantener, pero los cambios se van a hacer en el plan de acción.
So we're trying to convince them that we're only going to change the action plan so that we can be better aligned to the GBF because that is our mandate.
Entonces, nosotros teníamos un pequeño equipo dentro del Departamento de Biodiversidad que estaba haciendo la comparación entre las metas nacionales que ya estaban en la estrategia anterior con las metas del marco global de biodiversidad. Y ya en ese momento nos dábamos cuenta que eso iba a tomar bastante tiempo. Y por aquellos días recibimos el comunicado del proyecto Early Action de ofrecer el apoyo de la herramienta de inteligencia artificial y rápidamente nosotros respondimos que queríamos ser parte de los países que iban a usar esto como un piloto.
We have a very small team of about 5 people, and our team was doing this alignment work manually, but we quickly realized that it was going to take us too long. And then we received the email from the early action team offering this opportunity, so we quickly said yes.
Sí, bueno, yo en algún seminario o en algún webinar, yo dije esto que es una honestidad, es una verdad. Cuando empezamos a ver eso manualmente, nosotros sinceramente ya nos sentíamos como con pereza del trabajo largo que iba a involucrar eso, hacerlo manualmente, y nosotros vemos no como dependientes de la inteligencia artificial, sino igual como cualquier otra herramienta, como un martillo, como una regla, es para usarlo, pero no que es como una prescripción y que vamos a hacer al pie de la letra lo que nos va a decir el resultado, sino como una guía, como una orientación.
To be very honest with everyone here, once we saw the amount of work that we had ahead of us, we were feeling very lazy. We did not want to do this. And this is not to say that now we depend on artificial intelligence. We still want to do the work, but we see this as a tool to help us do things faster and better.
Entonces, otra cosa que nos decía la Dirección de Política Ambiental es que esos procesos obligatoriamente por leyes nacionales tienen que hacerse a través de talleres de consultas participativas y y en esa dirección la preocupación que tenían es que no íbamos a tener recursos financieros para hacer los talleres de consultas participativas, pero nosotros ya sabíamos que teníamos esos recursos a través del proyecto Early Action y que sabíamos que el grueso del financiamiento lo íbamos a usar en hacer los talleres. Una cosa importante es que cuando el equipo de PNUD nacional nos hace la introducción o el arranque o la introducción, primero tuvimos unos talleres donde se le explicaba a las personas qué eran las metas mundiales del marco global de biodiversidad. Pero cuando hicimos los talleres, nosotros queríamos que ya tuviéramos un insumo, un borrador sobre el cual presentarle a los participantes. Y eso se hizo con los resultados del informe de inteligencia artificial.
One of the requirements that we have from the legal department is that we do open and public consultations with stakeholders before updating any policy document. So this is when the early action project was very useful because it gave us the funds to conduct these consultations. But we did not want to start the consultations empty-handed. And this is where the artificial intelligence report was very instrumental because we arrived to the consultation with stakeholders with information that they could use.
Entonces, para cerrar, bueno, mencionar que la mayoría de las metas en el análisis de similitud tenían muy poca alineamiento con las metas globales. Habían varias que no tenían ninguna similitud y uno tendría que hacer una propuesta de una meta nueva. Y habían muy pocas, quizás una o dos, que tenían un grado de similitud mediana y que no llegaba a similitud alta. La ventaja, el beneficio y la ganancia es que el informe también daba recomendaciones. Las metas globales se dividen en elementos y esos elementos lo que nos decía era como alguna indicación de cómo incorporar los elementos para que la meta aumentara el grado de alineamiento en la propuesta nueva. Y eso hicimos unas propuestas borradores que fue las que reportamos en el informe en línea antes de la COP16.
Our report showed very low alignment between most of our targets and the GBF, but what was key from the artificial intelligence results is that we had recommendations on how to make the national targets more aligned with the GBF. So this gave us a starting point to start drafting new targets for those that showed no alignment and to tweak the ones that showed low or medium alignment so that we could have a higher alignment. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. For the interest of time, we can take perhaps one or two questions if anybody has any question. Oh, okay. Let me go there first.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, UNDP, for organizing this event. As my colleague said, we are here to learn from Sierra Leone. And from the presentations from countries, we realize that they've been previous NBSAPs. So my question is, what has been the advantages and disadvantages of using the AI?
Your question the same as when we see that the presentation by UNDP expert, and then we catch up. But after you see it, you can learn. The tricky is in the AI they try to create the indicator to see how they treat. The more you have, more score maybe. It means matching between the national and the GBF target. The more you have matching, that means the high similarity. So this is you have to look at the national target and the GBF because that one thing that we know, and then you start to understand. But at least you don't have time. If you have time, you can look at again one by one to make a matrix similar. I think that one can at least save your time a lot, and then you can see in the result. You look at, are you appreciate, are you happy with the analysis or not? So the high similarity, we not look at it. We look at around low and medium, because we see a lot that one. We know why. Yeah, why? For example, you see in target 23, is they talking about women, gender, or something like that. And we look at our target, we see we are no any term about women, gender, participation, IPLC. So this is they category us into the low similarity, and then you can find and then you update. If you want to have alignment, you have to modify, update your sentence, your target, more women or something like that. So this is we talking around, and then we share in a consultation. So, but do not panic, because they can help us as a pre-visibility or as for helping us. We do not need make. Otherwise, we have to make a bar, make a column to see the match alignment, because they're using the term alignment. So alignment is matching, how much level it. So this is my experience to develop or work in that tool. Thank you.
I think similar to Cambodia and Panama, time is the main advantage of the AI tool, at least we found for Guyana. And I won't go through all of what Cambodia said, but basically, versus humans sitting, reading every policy, everything, trying to align AI, it's very, the disadvantage, and I think I mentioned in my presentation, is that you would have to ground truth, because everything is not online, and you won't be able to align with 100% accuracy if you're not going to ground truth.
Gracias. Igualmente, lo que vemos es el ahorro del tiempo, la velocidad, pero también como el informe del análisis de inteligencia artificial produjo dos informes, uno que era como un resumen para los tomadores de política y el otro que era el informe más detallado en profundidad. Y ese, como explicó Cambodia, dice exactamente dónde está el grado en que no hay similitud y cómo se puede mejorar, y las recomendaciones para cada meta. Eso fue una ventaja grande para el país. Nosotros ahora estamos enviando otra información al proyecto Early Action, porque también como país hay varias cosas que se quieren hacer de la sinergia y complementariedad entre las otras convenciones relacionadas con la biodiversidad y las diferentes contribuciones nacionalmente determinadas de cambio climático, y cómo esas están conectadas con las metas del Marco Mundial de Biodiversidad. Gracias.
We think that the biggest advantage of this process was receiving the in-depth analysis, because that one included recommendations on how to improve or have a higher alignment of the GBF targets. And now we are actually looking to expand this analysis and include other policies, namely the NDCs, to see what other information we can gather and process using AI very quickly.
Great, thank you so much. Did that answer your question? Thank you for the great question. So we're going to move on to two more presentations now, where I think you might learn more about what the tool does and how the methodology is, and then also about the future on how the NDC and NBSAP alignment might work. So we'll start from Leah, who will explain a little bit more about how the tool methodology works. Yeah, it's easier to see. Yeah. Leah, do you want to come here to present? Yes, good idea.
We're doing a little shifting around. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I just wanted to briefly go over some like very basic information. Just sometimes it can be a lot to even for me, and I've been working on this for a year to understand how everything falls together and how this is possible. So just to give a bit of an overview, what we're doing is we can look at the goals and targets of the GBF. We can use GPT 3.5 and feed in the national biodiversity targets that you give us or other national targets. So some countries have come up to us and say, you know, I have this really exciting biodiversity policy. It's not an NBSAP, but it's a biodiversity policy. How does this align with the GBF? Or I really want this national development plan to be analyzed, and I have these targets, how can we use them? And so then the product, once we consult with the countries and upon their request, we can build out this analysis. And the result is a national target similarity assessment that we then share with the countries, and that there's some noises, but that at their direction, we also provide different technical guidance on the project generally, especially around stakeholder review and application, which is really an important part of this work. This is just probably way too much text and you probably can't see, but just so you know, like this is the overarching methodology of this original application. So for example, we have goal 7, and then we have the country's national biodiversity targets. These could also be updated targets that are in the online reporting tool. These could also be any targets, anything that's a target, you can give it to us. And then the output is an assessment of similarity. And so this is really just a text similarity. It can't take into account everything that is involved with alignment. Alignment can mean all sorts of things and can be very broad. And so we're really talking about initial text similarity. So for example, we see that these targets, there could be additional references to pollution risks or negative impacts, basically using the exact text of the GBF goals and targets. We don't add anything else. We trust that the CBD decisions that you have made about these targets and that you've put in the information in those, that's the most important to you. Oops. And then based on that, we can look at alignment between the text to see, okay, if the GBF target includes harmful subsidies, for example, and maybe we are not detecting that in the national target. And then here are some recommendations of text that you could consider using as a recommendation, as a potential opportunity if you want to increase areas of alignment. And I'm not going to talk about this too much. I think the countries have shared with us that they're finding this as a helpful opportunity, as an initial input that they can consider alongside with stakeholders and help inform conversations. Sometimes it can be really helpful to have baseline information that then can be used by stakeholders, and they might say, you know, this is wrong, this is right, this target, this makes sense to us, that doesn't. But sometimes it can be really helpful to have a first step. And then, of course, I'd like to talk about some limitations. This does not solve, this is an initial reports, initial assessments. This can't do the work, the brilliant work of all the countries and the national focal points. It can't replace your genius, but it can provide initial support. And also, we don't want this to be like a judgment, right? This is an initial report that you can consider. Oops, it's just going without me, isn't it? And it also can't replace your processes around stakeholder engagement. Our hope is that this can help you be able to allocate more resources and time to stakeholder engagement. So like actually supporting the whole of government, whole society approach. And just to note, we only share these with the country focal points. So we're really cautious that we're doing this in a way, we don't share the results like globally. It's just something that we can provide as a service to you. And then, of course, we are trying to to the best of our ability with this emerging technology, bring in these best practices. And of course, this is always evolving. We're always learning about how responsible AI use can look like and the best strategies to do so. And we're really grateful for our pilot countries who have been helping us along the way to develop methodologies that align with these types of principles of making sure, for example, open digital standards. One thing I'll share along that line is all of the information and the code is now publicly available. So if you want to use this and you don't need us, great. You can do so. You can use through GitHub. The information is available. Oops, again, it's going, maybe I'm touching it. We also hope that this can strengthen national capacity. We're taking into, one thing that's really important to us is that these types of assessments can integrate elements of gender, and that already is happening, of course, through Target 23, for example. So countries can actually use this to elevate human rights concerns, potentially, by identifying, okay, maybe we don't have a national target that relates to the Target 23 on gender. Maybe there are opportunities where maybe gender equality, maybe indigenous peoples are mentioned in the global targets, but they're not coming across in our national targets. So there are opportunities where you can find areas to strengthen that human rights consideration. And we're also collaborating with partners to figure out how we can do this even better in the future. All right, so that's my little song and dance. We'd like to now hear from, I guess, Reina, you can give it over to Claudia.
Yeah, for the sake of time, maybe I'll introduce myself. I'm not going to dance for you. I'm a bad dancer. So what I would like to talk to you about very briefly is sort of the next step of this. And I love the fact that the Panamanian colleague touched on this. How do we also use AI to align policies that are different across each other? And we know that it is a burden on the governments to have all this plethora of different strategies and policies on climate, on biodiversity, land degradation, neutrality targets. Is there a possibility to integrate and align where it makes sense? Entonces vamos a tomar ahora un poco más el siguiente paso, que es la alineación con clima. The reason that we are very interested in this is there's an unprecedented opportunity right now to align the NDC and the NBSAPs, because the NDCs, the National Determined Contributions under Paris Agreement, have to be submitted by the end of 2025, by the end of next year. And right now, you are all in the process of revising your biodiversity targets. So it just makes a lot of sense, and we thought in UNDP that we should also integrate better and very intentionally our work on climate and nature, starting from the policy to on-the-ground aspects and finance. The scientific rationale of this is presented here. It just makes sense. There is no way that we're gonna stay in or have any chance of staying at a 1.5 degree climate if we don't also invest heavily on nature, restoration of ecosystems, and safeguarding these ecosystems. Because we know that even if we are able to have temperatures, for example, if we're able to have emissions, the global temperatures will continue to rise unless we have healthy ecosystems. And then the Earth's ability to adapt will continue to decrease, and we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So the triple planetary crisis that we're facing is only going to be solved by integrated solutions. So therefore, nature needs to be at the heart of delivering the Paris Agreement, and climate needs to inform the Convention on Biological Diversity. The next slide. So I think many of you have heard about the Nature Pledge. It's an initiative of UNDP that supports over 140 countries to deliver their national biodiversity strategy and action plans, plus also doing a paradigm shift to mainstream nature into basically all of development aspects. But you may have not heard, because this is not the Climate Cup, about the Climate Promise. So basically we have two major flagship initiatives, and the Climate Promise, especially now, is going to be the major support for countries to revise their national determined contributions. And I will say it again, Panama has already submitted a revised one, so they're ahead of the game. So basically, we're building on these two flagship initiatives and the support that we've provided to more than 140 countries. We're not starting from scratch. And again, we have the infrastructure, so therefore we thought it was it's a no-brainer to be able to do this alignment. Next slide. This is my last slide. We are basically doing this at 3 levels. So the aim is to be able to have the integrated national solutions that contribute to the goals on climate, so Paris Agreement and nature under the GBF. First off, starting with delivering integrated impact on the ground. So that's how do we align our portfolios. In our case, for example, in UNDP, we have big portfolios funded by the vertical funds on all sorts of sectors, agriculture, water, ecosystem-based adaptation. So how can we ensure that every project on the ground has mutually reinforcing benefits on biodiversity and climate? The second one is the policy coherence, which is the one we're talking about here, and I would say that's the most urgent one. And then the last one is also how do we use innovative financial mechanisms. We have many initiatives in UNDP that work on green bonds, for example, on carbon markets, the Biofin initiative that is pretty big. So now, for example, with Biofin, countries are also going to be able to integrate climate aspects into the biodiversity financial plans. And so we're trying to do more of this so that at those 3 pillars, we're able to see more coherence. And before I pass it on to Reina, we would love to hear from you also if you think that this, the application of a tool such as AI could also be useful for that additional next step, which is how do we integrate biodiversity into the climate contributions as well. Over.
Thank you so much, Claudia. Leah, do you want to add something?
Great. And so just as an entry point into the next discussion, which Reina is going to lead us through, and this is where we really want to hear from you and your expertise, we wanted to introduce this concept of using AI to support alignment between NBSAPs and NDCs. And from our original scoping and from running some initial models, we have identified some areas that AI can help this work. So that can include assessing common themes among nature and climate policies, identifying nature and climate targets that have similar language, priorities, objectives, recommendations, and then identifying nature-based solutions in climate targets and assessing their frequency and measurability. We also really want to hear from you. What does an AI assessment on nature and climate look like to you? What kind of information do you want to see? What kind of national targets would you want to be analyzed? How can we bring in your expertise to make something that can help alleviate processes so that you can support synergies at a faster rate? Let's hear a discussion.
All right. Yes, please. Yeah.
Todos, ok. Para los que hablamos español, este trabajo de integrar las NBSAPs y NDC con AI estará buscando temas en común entre políticas de clima y naturaleza y también identificar cuáles son esas metas de clima que tienen un lenguaje similar o prioridades y objetivos similares a las de naturaleza. También estamos viendo cómo nos puede ayudar a identificar soluciones basadas en la naturaleza y ahora vamos a tener una pequeña discusión porque queremos saber qué ustedes piensan de esto, cómo lo pudieran implementar en sus países, pero también qué experiencia tienen ustedes que nos puede ayudar a fortalecer esta metodología.
All right, thank you so much. So we had actually prepared 3 questions, but Leah, I'm looking at you. Perhaps we can focus especially on the nature and climate nexus. So we wanted to discuss these 3 questions. How do you envision that human-centered AI models could support the planning and implementation of the GBF? What types of considerations are important when applying AI models? I think Guyana already made a point about traditional knowledge. It needs to be included in this, for example. Also, you were also mentioning about the national context having to be reflected. So if there are other considerations you think we should really strengthen, we'd love to hear. And last but not least, actually, this might be the one that we would really like to hear from you. What type of analysis could be helpful for you to synergize the efforts between nature and climate agendas, NDCs and NBSAPs, but also potentially other plans you have in your countries, like the national development plans? So these are the 3 questions. Since for the sake of time, we'd like to keep this as a plenary roundtable. Please do just raise your hand and we will try to go through this as a discussion. Yes, can somebody please do the microphone? Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks to UNDP for the invite, and we are pleased to be here. Interestingly, I am both in the climate and biodiversity field, and I've met Claudia before at the Global Transparency Forum in Tokyo, yes. So this is like a huge, well, just like our colleague from Panama, he said they were struggling, there were only 5 of them, and then they were introduced, they received an email about this. That's the same thing that happened with the EPA. We work for the EPA in Sierra Leone. So we received an email from UNDP asking us if we can try something like this. And our boss was like, don't even joke with it. You make sure you prioritize this. It doesn't matter what level we are at technology, but we need to make use of something like this. So like you were saying, Claudia, we are presently trying to review our NDC 3, which we hope to submit next year. At the same time, I and my colleague Joseph are in the team of those working to review the NBSAP to align it with the GBF. We've already submitted our targets. So I think this is beyond laudable for our country. The only thing is, okay, first of all, let me just tell you what we've done so far as a country. We already have a multilateral environmental committee, which is chaired by the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, brings together all the focal points, in the MEA focal points, especially the 3 priority focal point, the 3 priority areas. That's pollution, biodiversity loss, and climate change. And then this is key for us. So I think we already have like a platform. And then the NBSAP that we're reviewing, and even the NDC, aligns with our National Development Plan, which is 2030. So the NDC will be from 2025 to 2030. Similarly for the NBSAP. So we're making sure we align that with the National Development Plan and the SDGs. So also on the level of mainstreaming into different sectors, we have a technical committee that we have biodiversity focal point in all of these different ministries, departments, and agencies. Even onto district level, we have district committees, so that we now make sure the local communities, local community heads, their voices are also heard, and they're also part of the decision-making process. So we have all of these platforms set already. I cannot say the funding is there, but we are happy, pleased with the fact that Jeff is going to support our country to develop the NBSAP through UNEP and also the 7th country report. But then aligning the NDC with the NBSAP, which is really, really critical for us. I think the second question about what type of considerations are important, I think for us, stakeholder engagement is key. Mainstreaming is also very, very key. The fact that we have all of these platforms already set, how do we bring them together? How can they work together to make sure we have this is key? And then most importantly, hearing from Cambodia, Panama, and Guyana, the one thing I'm excited about is the fact that this tool can actually tell you the level of alignment, not just for the GBF, for the NDC, for example. If we are trying to meet our targets, we need to know how target X aligns with targets Y in the NDC, for example. So this is like exciting for us. We think we can start somewhere. The only thing is we need more information about how this technology works for a country like ours. But then we just want to say that we are really highly excited about this and we are really interested. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sierra Leone. Welcome to the big guinea pig world. Yes, you're the guinea pig next. Thank you so much. Yep, you want to?
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the speakers for sharing your case studies, and thank you for putting all of this together. I have several questions, but they basically all fall under the umbrella of evolution. Especially with technology, everything evolves very, very quickly. So this is based on 3.5, but 4.0 is already out, and 5.0 is supposed to be out at the end of the year or early next year. So I have a question about whether or not there will be like an evolution of the tool as well to match that. And then on top of that, over the last week, I've noticed a lot of other organizations are putting out tools as well. Will this be adaptable and collaborative with all the other tools out there? And as they're talking and negotiating and the framework is being updated, will that also be included in the evolution of the tool?
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you so much for the questions and for joining us. When we look at this work, we are always looking at ways we can evolve and take into consideration the next new models. Even I was just seeing that so many more organizations are coming up with new AI large language models. And the effort it takes to always keep track of those is you could hire a person whose main job it is to just scope, constantly scoping. But that is something that is part of our work. We have found that with this current, with the considerations about nature, climate, we're actually thinking of using a couple different models and are hoping to work with partners to identify which really work for them. We have found success with GPT 3.5. I think your point around 4 and 5 is also really great. But we've also found that every time we move from one version of GPT to another, it's not an instant, this is better. Sometimes we find that it takes a long time to update the prompt to actually make sense within the new model, but that is definitely something we want to continue doing as we're scoping. And now that we have this opportunity where many countries have updated national biodiversity targets, and we have this great opportunity to start thinking and start scoping, now is the perfect time for us to take those into consideration. We are also working with partners to identify the best ways to do this. Nobody wants a billion tools, right? One of the ways that we are staying agile is this is not an online platform that takes months to develop and it has this online infrastructure. Instead, it's something that we do in response to the needs of countries. So if you come up to us and you say, I want this analysis or I want this analysis, that's something that we can do really quickly. And that's also something that an area where this isn't necessarily a platform that is competing with other platforms. Because it's not a platform, it's really a group of people who want to work with you to make things faster. And we do have partnerships that are helping us do that. For example, we just had we had a joint workshop recently in Nepal with DART, the online reporting tool, where we're trying to work with them about ways to integrate AI into what not the online reporting tool, what is it called? The data, oh my gosh, my brain is all over the place. No, the DART, the data reporting tool for MEAs, that's it. Anyway, so we're working with them to identify how can we integrate AI and how can we help you to make your tools more agile. And I think that leads us to the next point, is that in support of this collaboration and support of helping the global community to start to consider ways that they can use AI. We have made all of this open source. Again, I'm showing this again just for fun, but our colleagues at DART, we're collaborating with them to consider how this could support them. We also are in conversations with folks across the Human Rights Commission and the Foods Group. This is why we're actually at CGIAR Pavilion, is because there's interest with them and the food systems to seek more alignments and make sure that not only are we supporting you to seek alignment and synergies, but we're doing that among ourselves as well.
Great, thank you. So that's the QR code for the methodology report. If you'd like to read it, it might be a good start. And I think that we can also have a conversation. Thank you for the great question. Chili, since you're here, I'd love to hear from you.
Hello, thanks. Can I share my ideas in Spanish? Perfecto. I can translate. Yeah. Que en verdad he estado pensando desde ayer, porque nosotros mañana vamos a tener un side event sobre el desarrollo de instrumentos económicos para conservación de biodiversidad y cómo se están aplicando en Chile. Entonces, parte de este marco donde nosotros estamos desarrollando instrumentos económicos necesita de mucha cooperación con los instrumentos que ya están desarrollados hacia acción climática.
This is very interesting for us. In fact, tomorrow we're having a side event on how to develop economic models to basically sustain biodiversity, and we are also interested in seeing how they can also be used with climate.
Entonces pasa que, por ejemplo, en la aplicación de NDC, especialmente con algunos artículos como el artículo 6, donde nosotros podemos como visualizar qué mecanismos se pueden utilizar para que nosotros obtengamos financiamiento hacia la conservación de biodiversidad, apilando otro tipo de instrumentos que ya tienen quizás más recursos y más foco.
Me encantó tu ejemplo. One of the things that we're looking at is, for example, under the Climate Convention Article 6 on carbon markets, how can we use all the attention and basically what has been developed under Article 6 to also use carbon markets to protect biodiversity and get the funding we need because of the protection of biodiversity through the carbon market.
Entonces, por esa misma línea, yo creo que una de las brechas más importantes para guiar el financiamiento hacia la biodiversidad, que es ahora uno de los temas más importantes de la COP, es cómo nosotros articulamos estos dos instrumentos y estas dos como marcos globales, que quizás van por líneas distintas y está bien, porque al final hay que darle la prioridad que merecen, pero también las sinergias y el apilamiento de estos dos instrumentos nos van a permitir tener resultados quizás más rápidos y con una amplitud de mirada mucho mayor, y no entender que son dos quizás problemas distintos, sino que en muchas de sus formas están en conjunto.
This is very helpful because we know there's a biodiversity finance gap, and the main focus of this COP is how to drive finance for biodiversity, but we see the opportunity that instead of that we can use instruments from the other convention, that sometimes these two conventions are going in separate paths, but we do see a possibility of using that instrument to actually unleash finance towards biodiversity, and so one can actually reinforce the other.
Sí, solo quiero comentar una cosa. Entonces, la utilización de esta herramienta yo la estoy viendo desde ese lado, como cómo yo puedo sacar este tipo de análisis de forma más rápida, viendo los dos, NDC y el marco global de biodiversidad, para diseñar estos instrumentos. Eso.
Yeah, so I'm excited about the potential of being able to use AI tools so that we can make this analysis faster and be able to see where the commonalities are for that kind of opportunities.
All right, thank you so much, Chile. Wonderful comments. We have Dominican Republic here too to also make an intervention.
Hello, my name is Patricia from the Dominican Republic UNDP office, and I work with the updating of the NBSAPs in the art. So on top of the financial aspect that Chile already mentioned, I wanted to also say that this tool could be crucial for us because our NDC are being updated in an institution outside the Ministry of Environment of the art, and having this kind of product can give us a tool to strengthen the relationship in between all the institutions across the environment sector. But also, I feel like in the time I've been working with the biodiversity and NBSAPs and all, I feel like climate change is a topic that is transversal to all the sectors and everyone is aware of it, but biodiversity not so much. So having a tool that can put those topics together can give us more fuerza? Reinforce, yeah. It can reinforces the biodiversity importance and why we should do what we do. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for all the great inputs. Leah, did you want to respond to anything in 1 minute?
I mean, I think this is all really great to hear your thoughts, and I'm excited to hear that you guys are excited as we are. And I also wanted to emphasize that we can't do this without you. So looking forward to, I'll share my card, but all of us are really looking forward to continuing this conversation with you.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, 30-second points. Would you like to make? We can't stop. We're excited.
Thank you, Ivan. You give me a lot of time, but to this one I want to contribute. Interesting and always thinking about question 3, because we know that too is even in my institution we sit just only the wall, but rarely is integrated and synergy it. You know, the issue behind is the language. When we talking about biodiversity, we talking about number of species, number of ecosystem service, how useful, how beautiful, or some landscape. But when you're talking about climate change, they are so different. They are resilient, mitigation, adaptation. So this language is not matched. So we need you to help us how what we mean biodiversity align or match with climate change. Because the language different, you can't talk each other unless synergy the language first. What you mean carbon said resilient? Maybe to ecosystem we call integrity, something like that, healthy. I don't know that can we need our expert around here to see that one. Otherwise, it's difficult to understand, because whenever I met climate change, is talking on resilient, mitigation, adaptation. So we are talking beautiful, amazing. Only that. Thank you.
Thank you. Great point on translation between nature and climate languages. Sierra Leone, don't leave. We will have one short remark and then we will close, and we do want to have a family photo, I think. Yeah. So yeah, let's go in that way.
Okay, I don't want to stand in the family photo. But I think just reinforcing the point that Chile made, the idea also of this alignment is not just to make the work easier to do the policy. These policies are nothing if there's no funding behind actual implementation of activities. So ideally, this will make the job easier to also identify efficiencies of how we get, finance, like how can we actually channel funds in, piggybacking and on different instruments that are in different conventions, for example, and all going towards the same pot, but with different and multiple benefits. So I think it's great to be able to look forward in that regard as well.
Thanks, Claudia. All right, so I will pass it to Christina Supples, the EAS, Global EAS Project Manager, to please close the very wonderful session. Christy, over to you.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for coming today, and thank you so much to all the CBD focal points who are here for negotiations and took their Saturday off to have some cookies and talk about how we can do things differently. I think the theme of the COP for me is we're trying to figure out what we need to innovate on or disrupt in terms of systems so that we can advance by 2030 to have harmony with nature, which the current way of working isn't making progress fast enough, as we're all aware. Being able to co-create these methods together has been so powerful. What started with, I think, 3 or 5 parties having this idea has led to over 55 that now are using it to align their national biodiversity targets. As Leah mentioned, we're not looking for a platform. We want to stay nimble and agile to your responses. And I also share the vision that I think the highest good for this tool could be to align and identify gaps for the strategies and actions around nature, which either could be filled with ongoing work and other conventions, or the real opportunity is fundraising to fill those that can't be filled otherwise. So this is just the beginning of a conversation, and I hope will have impact for those in the room as we co-create it, but also those who will benefit from the early work. Thank you.
Thank you. So, shall we take a picture against this? Yep.
Yeah, not against the
CGIAR logo.